Hello and welcome to Chakra News. Now, in a very troubling incident, two vessels have been hijacked off the coasts of Somalia and Yemen. Now, what does this mean for maritime security in the region and for the safety of Indian seafarers? To unpack all this and more, we've got with us Merchant Mariner Captain Naveen Singhal. Captain Singhal, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Deepak. Thank you once again for calling me here on Chakra. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Yes, Deepak, it's about these hijacking vessels. Please tell me. I'll be happy to respond to your queries. Yeah.
So, sir, for a person who doesn't know much about this, what exactly has happened on the ground at the moment?
Yeah. So first, your viewers need to understand that this particular area, the Gulf of Aden. So the Gulf of Aden has been a piracy-prone region since 1991. Although the piracies really picked up only around 2004, 2005, and it's been like 2005 onwards till about 2012. There have been ships have been hijacked very frequently. So it's only after 2012 that things have sort of eased down until about 2024. So that means for the last so many years, we've not had any major incidents which related to the merchant ships. There have been some isolated fishing vessels which have been. So this place has been generally safe. But having said that, because of its reputation since 2005 to 2012, ships transiting this area always carry armed guards. That's been because if you carry armed guards, and when you see a skiff or a pirate boat, they come in small boats. They approach your vessel with a small speedboat by about 2 or 3 people, and if they see if you have armed guards, you fire warning shots, they won't come anywhere close to you. They'll run away because they know that they're going to risk their life. But if there are no armed guards, then they very easily and conveniently board the ships. Right. So this particular vessel, Lutuf, that's a general cargo ship, and this is flagged in Cameroon, owned by somebody in Turkey. Right. So it's a Turkish owner, and it's a very small cargo ship. It's carrying apparently some weapons for Mogadishu from Turkey. So it's come all the way from there through Suez, through the Red Sea, and through the Gulf of Aden. And it's unfortunately, I don't understand. They have two armed guards, by the way. Two Serbian armed guards are on board. So I wonder why they took that shortcut of coasting around the Somalia coast, which is like, you're going right through the region and actually inviting trouble. So they were very close, and when they were coasting out there, obviously it's a lollipop. The whole area is infested with pirates. So they conveniently took this vessel off, and it's been hijacked, and it's got about something like 6 Indians out of the 10 crew members. It's a small cargo ship. Please remember, it's a very small cargo ship. It's not one of those big cargo ships. So it's a very small cargo. That's happened with the Lutuf. If you come to Cebu 1 is a tanker. Now that's not a small tanker. It's what we call as a mid-range tanker. It's about a 32,000 metric tons dead weight, and this is about 25 years old build, 25 years age. The Lutuf is about 31 years, so it's a bit more. So beyond 25, obviously these ships get a little bit problematic. So the owner of Cebu 1 is what we call as a brass plate owner, which means their contact details are not known. They just have an address with the flag, but it's a brass plate. You get my point. There's no direct contact address of the owner. Now, this particular vessel has about 16 Indians on board, and actually 16 Indians here and 6 on the Lutuf makes it 22 Indians. So as of today, I just did some research. There are about 100 seafarers in the custody of Somalia pirates. May have been there for many months, and some of them could be even years. Right? Out of those 100, approx 100, 22 are Indians. So the rest of them are different nationalities. And the 22 Indians are from these two vessels, Lutuf and Cebu 1. So we didn't have any Indian seafarers in the custody of Somalia till, let's say, 3 days back, 4 days back, right? Till Cebu 1 was hijacked. So that's the, what you call, and Cebu 1 has, I just sort of got some information that these vessels are carrying Iranian oil for the Houthis. And this is coming down from the Gulf. It's generally the last 1 month. The track shows the vessel is plying in the Gulf of Oman, around about the coast of Red Sea, and it shows the destination as Sudan. It shows Sudan as its destination, but that destination can always be just because what you put up in the AIS need not be your destination. They are not going to say we're going to Houthis. So, but apparently the information available shows that they have been supplying oil to the Houthis, which is in South Yemen, right? The ones you're familiar with that. That's naphtha and gas oil and things like that. They've been supplying. Right. The owners of this vessel previously were based in Dubai, but right now, they are sort of unknown. And by the way, Cebu 1 is in the OFAC list. Luthuf is not, but Cebu 1 is. In fact, the previous owners of Cebu were operating, so Cebu 1 as an IMO number is on the OFAC list. So once the IMO number is on the OFAC list, owners can keep changing, everything can change. IMO number remains absolutely fixed, right?
As you mentioned, 2005. There was a very famous film. I think it was nominated for Oscars as well, Captain Phillip, and that
Yeah.
showed how this actually works out. And post those incidents, several high-profile incidents in the late 2000s, security in this region, which is one of the most busiest sea routes, as I understand, had been heightened. Are we seeing a resurgence in pirate activity here? And has security in general gone down?
Yeah, so when these piracy incidents started in the early part of this century, 2004, 2005, and the vessel you're talking about is Maersk Alabama, which is Captain Phillip, where Tom Hanks
Right.
does the role of the master there, and the ship gets. In fact, the movie is made very well because I've seen that and it looks quite natural. So that's and the Americans got the vessel released because remember one thing, that naval ships have been present there since 2005, 2006. So the naval presence had only been growing there till about 2013, 14. Navy has been there. Our Indian Navy itself, even today, when the piracy incidents have reduced, I've just done some research. There is this INS Trikant, and you have these Papa 81 maritime patrol aircrafts. No, they are sort of patrolling there. So Indian naval ships are catching ad hoc people carrying drugs or arms or whatever, and they're doing their presence is there. And Chinese Navy also is there. But once upon a time, a lot of naval ships were there. However, after this piracy incident started in the early part of this century, there's an IRTC, International Corridor, which is the International Recommended Transit Corridor. It's something like a traffic separation scheme in the Red Sea. So if your ship is transiting coming from Suez southbound, or you're going northbound to Suez. So you may, if you wish, use the IRTC transit corridor. It's like a convoy system where ships come there and they have to actually maintain a certain speed because you can have tankers at 12, 13 knots and at slow. So you can't be moving very fast here. So you also have to wait for the convoy to build up because there's a naval ship in the front and a naval ship at the right of the stern, and you have ships in between. So that normally there has been no incident of any ship getting hijacked while it's in the IRTC corridor. Right. There
Right.
have been some attacks, but they've been futile. So IRTC corridor is still sort of functioning, but the naval presence is a little less. So many ships don't want to wait for the IRTC corridor. They are fast ships. They are 15, 16 knots and more than that. Maybe. So if you're more than 15, 16 knots, you don't need to really wait. You can actually just go through because the skiffs, the boats which in the pilots come, the skiffs, they have a speed of about 12, 13 knots. So if you are at 15 knots, you are safe. So all the fast container ships, the car carriers, they move very fast. And in any case, if your freeboard is very high, freeboard means the from the waterline up till the deck level, the car carriers have a very high freeboard, 13,
Right.
14 meters. Now pirates won't risk that; they can't risk it. So any other vessel, whether it's a container ship, tanker, the freeboard in ballast condition or loaded condition, is reasonably good for them to throw a rope and hook up and come through a ladder. So since then, IRTC is there. UKMTO is another body. MSC, Horn of Africa, that's also there. So the ships entering there, they're supposed to report to MSCHOA. There is an email and address, and they're supposed to inform them. So and so vessel, I'm going to transit here, blah blah blah. Similarly, southbound and northbound. So that's the control that's been there, and of course, they carry arm guards.
Right. Now, sir, you yourself have plied those waters. Innumerable times you've passed through that very region. Uh, what are we seeing there precisely? I understand that there is a shadow economy that operates in the lawless parts of Somalia, where I believe there are entire stock exchanges of sorts which fund a lot of these hijacks. Uh, is that sort of a network still working over there?
Yeah, so in the first 10, 12 years of the century, that's 2004 onwards till about 2012, 13, 14, let's say, there was no government in Somalia. So the government in Somalia was actually operating outside Somalia. So they were not there to govern. So there was lawlessness out here. There are various reasons for that. So it's another discussion as to why did this situation come about. So looking at that, looking at that issue. So when this happened, then obviously there was some way to get money. So probably they must have tried a few fishing trawlers in the initial stages and then found out this is a good business. So let's catch some merchant ships. And so they were quite successful to get the ships out here. So that's been and you see, although we all know, everybody knows, the whole world knows where the ships go. They go on the East African coast of Somalia. They all parked there. There are 2 or 3 places. That's where the ships are parked. That means all the hijacked vessels are kept there. So it just requires a bit of naval forces of a few countries, and you can actually go there and get all the ships released. But I think that maybe that's legally may not be right, because then it can be considered as an attack. So now there can be ways, but it has not happened so far, which means ships are still getting hijacked and the international community hasn't done anything great there. But however, after 2013-14, there has been a concern I think in the world and the United Nations that they need to do something about the economic development in Somalia. So over the last 10, 12 years, things have improved in Somalia, and because of which piracy has reduced also. So pirates are getting some other jobs or whatever, and because this is a very high risk job, remember. The people who come in the skiff, there's one chap who's in the motorboat with controlling the rudder, and there's probably 1 or 2 people who actually come out there who climb. Now, they are generally semi-drugged. When they do that, they take something or the other. There's something known as a cart. Cart is that leaf,
Yeah,
locally, and they may be taking that or maybe taking something
it's
else
very
too.
popular in these parts. It's very popular.
Yeah, and they take down, and it's a very risky, because you see, this operation happens only the daytime. Nighttime they can't risk it, because nighttime you can't see, and accidents can happen. So daytime they board, so they risk their lives. Once they are on board, then of course it's. I haven't heard of pirates boarding a vessel and hijacking not being successful because they have been shot. Yes, pirates have boarded the vessel, they have hijacked the vessels. Pirates have even boarded the vessel, and Navy has also boarded and killed them. That's also happened, because when the naval ships are there, the Navy boards the vessel. Once the Navy boards the vessel, before they board the vessel, they have to get one important message from the captain. And what is that? That every crew member is safe in the citadel. Citadel
Right.
is a safe area, which is generally the engine room or the steering gear. So when the captain gives this message, everyone is in the citadel. Then, if the Navy's around, they're going to board the vessel. Then they'll kill anyone at sight. So they will, and it's happened. Now there's one ship. What is that? There's a Korean ship, a chemical tanker, where the Korean Navy rescued the entire vessel. The crew had got into the citadel. They killed about 6 pirates, and they captured about 3 alive. So almost about 9, 10 of them. Because initially 2 board the vessel, but once the controls are taken over, they cut off communication. That's the first thing they do. Once the communication is cut off, then 8, 10 pirates come from the mother vessel. There's always a mother vessel parked, a few miles away. And the mother vessel looks like a fishing trawler. So any vessel passing by will say, "Oh, this looks like a fishing trawler," but actually it's a mother vessel where pirates are actually staying. And, so they come there. Once they come there, then they immediately proceed to the what you call the Somalia. Unless, of course, crew is in the citadel. Because if the crew gets in the citadel, they don't have access to the engines. They don't know how to run that. So then they are in a bit of a fix.
Now, only a couple of years ago, the Indian Navy and its Marine Commandos did a spectacular operation wherein they actually, the Marine Commandos, jumped off an aircraft and, boarded a boat and neutralized a number of pirates who had hijacked a vessel. Now, that may be too spectacular a vision, operation for every such incident. But do you see the government of India or regional authorities taking some action on this count? How do you see the situation unfolding in the next couple of days?
No, see, the Navy can't do much now. Navy could have done something if they had received the alert, the security alert. So there is, every ship has got an ship security alarm system. So they're supposed to activate that. Now, whether Lutuf now is coming from this, Lutuf was actually in quite a terrible place. They shouldn't have been there at all, so close to the coast and Somalia. They were taking a shortcut. I mean, they're supposed to actually come around that Socotra and keep your vessel about at least 40, 50 miles away, because they were heading for Mogadishu, which is a little bit south to the Somalia. So instead of that, they took a shortcut to save fuel, and they got it. So even if they had triggered an SSAS, it was perhaps there was very little time for any navy to reach there, because they're just about 5, 10 miles off, 5, 6 miles off the coast, and that whole area is so that is as far as Lutuf is concerned. But any ship, when they trigger the alarm SSAS, then that goes to the flag state, and then the location of the vessel is known. The Navy, the naval ships out there operating are informed. And yes, you're right, Indian Navy, and quite obviously, we have a huge presence there. And we're doing a lot of what you rightly said. We're picking up a lot of these small vessels where you have a lot of these arms and drugs and being carried out there. And they're doing these operations virtually on a continuous basis. The media may not be covering that, but they are doing that on a regular basis. And it's quite obvious because, we are right. Red Sea is right next to us, I mean, in the sense, we are very close. We are the closest nation, and we have the most powerful navy out here.
Right. So now this incident comes at a particularly troubling time. The Gulf, you've seen the US-Iran conflict happening. The Houthis in Yemen have also threatened to close the Bab al-Mandab, which, as we spoke at an earlier occasion, is another choke point. And then you have the pirates rearing their heads again. Do you foresee, troubled circumstances? Do you see more such turbulence in the time ahead? And what effect is it going to have on, say, seafarers and merchant vessels in general? Do you see this as a problem for the economy in the longer term?
Are you talking about piracy?
Yes, sir. What I'm saying is there is already a lot of security related
Mix. Yeah, I
concerns
got your
around.
point.
Yeah. And with the
Yeah.
Houthis starting to fire their missiles, there is already the US-Iran conflict. So the waters here are generally not as safe as one would like them to be. Do you see with the pirate activity picking up? Do you see a lot of concern amongst, say, the merchant vessel community? And how do you see the situation unfolding over the next few months, for that matter?
Yeah, there are actually two issues, Deepak. One is, of course, the piracy, right? And the other is the war. That's the Red Sea Houthis are there, and you have the Gulf War and all that. So there are two issues. What the pirates are doing right now, they're just making hay while the sun shines. They're just getting, and they don't care whether the ship is Iranian oil. I mean, they don't have any, favorites that we are with X party or Y party or X country or Y country. Whichever they find a soft target, they pick up. So this was a very soft target, Lutuf, right next to you. So you're just going through that. They picked it up. Cebu they picked up because it was carrying oil, and they got some information because this was going perhaps for the Houthis. So, they have their own connections. Remember, the Somali pirates, they have their own network to get information. And this network is there in countries like Yemen and all. It's very strong. They have, because I remember one of the ships got hijacked from Yemen in 2010 or 11, rather, 2011. And that information was only known to the local shipping agents in Yemen, but it was eventually passed on to the pirates out there, and they managed. So remember, they get that information there. Now, as such, merchant ships are not at the moment very much concerned about piracy at the moment, right? So piracy has died down. Now we are not carrying merchant ships are not carrying 4 armed guards. They're carrying maybe 2 or 3 because they don't need more than that, right? And they need to be only active in the Red Sea region. So I think the merchant ships, they're concerned, they will continue to carry armed guards while crossing the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden. So that's it's like a quasi permanent. It's like almost something like you can't do without it, right? Coming back to what is their concern is, of course, the Houthis there. They've been creating trouble. So their concern is more about the attack from the Houthis in the Babla Mandab and in the Red Sea area. That's their concern. When you talk about the Gulf of Aden, I think the merchant shipping industry has got quite accustomed to the pirates of this region, and you perhaps see that merchant ships don't get hijacked here. They don't get hijacked because we are well prepared. There are a lot of things that are done, and the most important thing, the ships which did not carry armed guards in 2005, some of the very leading shipping companies, I don't want to name them, they said we don't need armed guards. They had an attack in 2004, 2005, and then onwards, they've been carrying armed guards. Some of them, like Maersk, Alabama, you said, the vessel, they completely boycotted the Red Sea for many years. They said we're not going in that region. All the ships are going south of, Cape Town. That's Cape of Good Hope. But then, of course, now they've resumed after many years. Yeah, Cape of Good Hope. So they had initially said we're not going, but now they, of course, for many years they are using the Red Sea region. But now merchant ships are not too much worried. Why? Because we are prepared. We have armed guards, and armed guards take care of it. But
Well,
their worry is about the war.
right.
Now the question is the 22 seafarers, the Indian seafarers. One question that your viewers would be asking is, how do we get their release? Now, the release of the seafarers will be through the ship owner, which means the Somalia pirates will get in touch with the ship owner and tell the ship owner, I want so much money for the release of your crew. So the crew is like their lane, which means they ensure the safety of the crew, because and almost every day or every alternate day, they will be in touch with the owners on an idiom phone to sort of make them talk that, okay, our crew is safe, everyone is safe. We want X money. So that negotiation can continue. Sometimes it can continue for weeks and months. But I hope the owners take good and quick decision, because there's no point, there's no point in the pirates asking for an amount which is extraordinary. At the same time, if they ask for something reasonable, I think the owners should quickly settle this so that the crew can be released from there, the Indians and the crew for Lutuf and the Cebu one. Like I said, there are a lot of seafarers stuck there, but they can be for other vessels. And because like I said, Sword, another vessel, a general cargo ship, which was hijacked, if you recall, in the month of April. In fact,
Right.
Sword is a small. It's not a very small ship. It's about an 8,000 deadweight, and they are using Sword as a mother vessel.
Okay.
So Swan is being used as a mother vessel where they live there, they eat and everything, and they're looking around so to hijack. So at the moment, you know what the pirates are doing? You will see them catching fishing trawlers and fishing vessels, and the smaller ones. The ransoms could be also meager, but they're not looking at big merchant ships.
Right. Well, Captain Singhal, at this point, one only hopes that all these seafarers who are now in captivity are released safe and secure and soon. Until then, we'll be following this story extremely closely and we'll be coming back to you for more such updates. Thank you.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks for having me here. Thank you. Have a good day.